And then you can also go in, and if you were going to use it for an assignment, you could add points. So if you wanted to use this for your week, part of your week's participation points, you could do that. And that would certainly be something that you could do all right here. And again, you have access to this both on your phone and in a computer. And so I could really easily just click on that, record a short response, and then the student would be able to see that. The other thing I like about Flipgrid is I can set it to get notifications at various intervals of time based or for whenever I get new replies. So I had it set so that every time someone completed or uploaded a video, I got an email. You can have that for every new post. You can have that daily, weekly, or never. But you do also have that option so that you can just keep a list of, okay, I know who all I'm going to see videos for, and that's just one other way of if you need to check it off for points or participation or whatever. So you can also set it like that. There are a bunch of other fun things that you can do with the videos. I've never tried some of those. The students can add text. They can add pictures. So there's a bunch of different things that they can do just to have some fun with it. So it's not just a sit there, record a video, and post. They can actually dress it up a bit if they like. So this is what some of those would look like. And I can set it so that the students don't see the number of views. If I have that student who is the really quiet one in class, doesn't interact a whole lot, I may not want them to see that the person sitting in front of them has 5 times as many views on their video because they're the really talkative, social one and outgoing in class. So I can set that so that my students don't see that. There are a ton of different settings for this that I'll show you in a second, but this is what more of a standard topic looks like. And then, so this is an example of the one that I'm going to use that has a YouTube video in it. If you've never seen this video, you should watch it. This is Admiral William McRaven. He was the chancellor of the University of Texas system when I was a graduate student at UT Tyler. Before that, he was the commanding officer of the Navy SEALs. And he gave a short little talk that's called The Importance of Making Your Bed. And I show that for every semester, and I like it because I can pretty much make it relate to any topic. But my students, anywhere from 6th grade all the way up through college students, have all enjoyed it. So I have really enjoyed this video, but you can just add it instead of the wavy hand or a picture. You can add a YouTube link. And so on their phone, they would see the video at the top and they could watch that right there. And then they can scroll down and they'd be able to see where they post a response. And it's all within Flipgrid. So again, you don't have to juggle multiple platforms, multiple apps or programs in order to do this.
Well, and I might cut in for just a second.
Absolutely.
So you can see on here that it counts how many hours of engagement for the class, which is really a kind of a fun thing to see, you know, as you go through your class, to see how many hours they've spent, even in an online class maybe, or outside of class, communicating with each other. Because I think mine, for my class, is 42 hours of engagement for the summer class so far. So it's kind of a fun thing to see as well.
Yeah, so this is, Heather's is an awesome example of another one where, I mean, just this one Flipgrid. So just to kind of show you the hierarchy of how all these terms work. So the grid is any kind of portal that you want to create. So Heather has one here for all of her UNIV summer class. And then within that, you can create topics. So you can do a specific discussion thing, a specific video, a specific week. So you create a grid that you would log into, and then within that, you create topics. And you can have an unlimited number of topics per grid, if I'm not mistaken. But I mean, 42 hours, 1,500 views. How many students are in your class right now, Heather?
31.
Okay. Okay. So you can see there is a lot of awesome engagement going on with this. My students that I had this last spring, one of the things that they enjoyed was they felt like they just kind of got to be themselves. I had some students that recorded videos, literally parked at I told them not to do this because I thought that was important, but parked at a red light. They completed their grid. I had another one who, I had another student who did it with family there because they wanted everyone to get to see their family. And then kind of scrolling through here, you can have a grid for each class, or you could do one grid and let all of your students respond to that same thing. So you could have multiple students from different classes meeting each other. I'm going to use this fall, I will have one grid, and then all of my students will simply respond to that. So all 4 of my classes will use the same topics and the same grid. That way, that's just a few more faces that they can see, especially if we have to do the group 1 is Monday and group 2 is Wednesday. That way they can at least see and hear the voices of the other students in their class. So this is just one other way for them to do that. And the other thing that I liked with this is if you have any students that have a computer that may not have access to a webcam, or their microphone doesn't work very well, or whatever the case may be, they can still use their phone. And so this is not, if my computer doesn't have something, I can't participate. You've got multiple ways to do this. And I even told some students in the spring that if they wanted to, they could send me information and I would record a video for them. So that would be kind of the last straw, or kind of the last option. None of them took me up on that, which is fine with me, but that's another option. What are you going to say, Heather?
I just had someone actually do that to me in my class. She emailed me last night. She had to have a very painful tooth extraction, and she asked if she could type her response, and I said, sure, and I will read it in a video because it's just fun to do it that way.
I like that. I'm glad that she was able to send that to you. But yeah, none of my students took me up on that. But that is another option. So, because I had a couple students that, well, there's a time difference because they had gone back home to wherever home is for them. I said, well, that's okay because it's not going to notify us. So you're not going to risk waking people up. And so that was one way that I could say, you can still do that. And then it was, well, I don't have a webcam. That's fine. You can use your phone. I see you texting in class all the time anyway. I know you can use your phone. So there are multiple ways that they can use this. And so that's another just great example of a grid with multiple topics. And then here in a second, I'll show you the one that I embedded within my Blackboard. And so the other thing that I wanted to show you before I forget is it's called their disco library. I don't know why it's called a disco library. If I figure it out, I'll let everybody know. But that's the name that they gave it. But this library is anyone who signed up for Flipgrid and made their account public. You can create something within the library for people to access. And so these are just a few of the grids that have been created. So anything race, equity, and justice. The Met has some stuff. I haven't looked at all of these, so I don't know what Wonderopolis and Epic is, so we're not going to click in those right now. The one about coding, I do know that's someone who literally is giving many lessons on computer coding through Flipgrid. And so that could be something that I might share with some of my computer science or information systems majors this fall if they just want another way to start learning code. But these are all pre-done, pre-recorded. And the one that I'm going to do some looking through this fall so that not only can they hear my voice and their classmates, but maybe those of other people, is this race, equity, and justice one. And just within this one grid, there are 25 different topics related to race, equity, and justice. And again, I haven't watched these, so I'm not going to click through them right now. But they are already done. It'll tell you a little bit about the subject. It'll tell you an intended audience. So I have seen, here's some for elementary, 5 to 10, one for anybody that wants to watch. So if you do something like this, you could even kind of narrow it down by the audience so that it's geared more towards college students and that type of a more mature audience. But these are just some of the examples of things within Flipgrid that I just discovered. So I was going through, I'm actually waiting on Flipgrid to approve my level 1 certification. I saw that on their website and thought, oh, that sounds like fun. And so anything techie like that, all the UNIV crew knows about me. So I went in, I posted a little bit, I recorded a couple of videos, took a quiz. And while I was doing that, found that disco library. So all of that is within Flipgrid. And so you can see right here across all of the grids that I am a part of, there is 2 days and 9 hours worth of engagement. Just so that that's one other way that you can map, that you can show that, just like Heather was mentioning. Where I embedded it in my Blackboard course, the one thing that I had to do is I had to log back in. So all I did, let me make sure I know the week. So I went in, I love still having this development course that I can play around in, but there we go. So I was able to go through, it gets into a little bit of copying and pasting some code, but all of that is outlined with the instructions that I'll give you guys. And so that's all right there for you. But all you have to do for this is log in. When you see a screen like this that says, do you want to log in with Google or with Microsoft? If you signed up for your account using your AUM credentials, make sure that you do log in with Microsoft. And then it'll ask you, do you want to use this account? And then there you go. And so the same grid that I saw on my phone or on the Flipgrid website is now embedded within my Blackboard course. And you can change the size of it if you want it to take up the whole announcement, if you want to just be a little smaller like this. But these were some of my awesome students from this last semester. And this was also, instead of having my peer mentors go in and send encouraging emails, I had them post videos within Flipgrid. And so that way, anytime a student went in to go post, they saw that their peer mentor had posted something for them. And so that's what I had Caitlin and G do. So Caitlin's is right up here. But you can go click through, and some of them only recorded audio, some of them recorded video and audio. That is entirely up to you as to whether you want to say, I at least need to be able to hear you, but I don't have to see you. That's entirely your choice. But what it did is, so they record a short video, then they watch the video to make sure they like it. Then it's going to ask them to take a selfie. So this is the selfie that it took of them in Flipgrid, and then it posts it for them. And so these are my students from this last semester. They had a lot of fun with this. And I couldn't help it. I had some fun with mine too. So I showed them, hey, here's one from my phone. Here's another one that I recorded on my computer, just to give them more options. And this is one of the things I'm looking forward to with this is with our new to AUM students that are getting laptops. That is one more way that we can get them to use that laptop for an educational purpose in our class. I'm assuming that it's going to have a webcam. I would be surprised if it doesn't. But that's just one more way that we can get them to use their laptop in class or outside of class, depending on when you want to do this. So it is very pretty simple to get this embedded. And again, those instructions are in the email that you guys are going to get here in just a little bit. Before I go on to Flipgrid, here's kind of my pros and cons. I tried the first week we were online to do the regular discussion board, just the native within Blackboard, and it was fine. It did what it needed to do. The students posted, they did responses, but I just felt like we went from a lot of interaction and discussion when we were face-to-face to we slammed on the brakes when we went to the Blackboard discussion board. And so I tried this the second week that we were online. And in all honesty, I stole the idea from Heather. She'd gotten to go to a FDI session about this in the fall, I think. And so this is something I'd heard her talking about and thought, why not? Let's give it a shot. And I ended up really enjoying it. And so you can, again, if you have to split your classes because of the social distancing protocols, or if you want your classes from different days or times to be able to see each other, they can do that through Flipgrid. And so I could even, it would add one more thing on me to check, but I could even say, hey, when you go reply to a video, I want you to reply to the video of someone who is not in your class, or of someone who is in your class, but they're on a different day. So there would be some things, bits and pieces I'd have to figure out there. But that way you can get them to see and hear from other students than the ones just in class with them at that time. It works on any device as long as you've got a connection to data or internet. And then the last one that's on here, this call to action. This is a newer integration with Loom that I've discovered that I think is really cool. I'll show you that here in a second, but I can literally, as I'm recording a video in Loom, I can add a call to action, so they push a button in the video and it takes them to Flipgrid. And so I'll show you an example of that here in just a second, but it's just another way to integrate the two so that they don't see them necessarily as completely separate, not related to each other tools. They see them as a more integrated thing. So I've really enjoyed Flipgrid. I know, Heather, you used it a lot this summer. What were some things that you've enjoyed about it, or that your students have enjoyed about it?
So one of the things the students really like is that you can, there are filters, there are emoji you can pop up on the screen. I have given my students the option to have their camera off, because I know that that can be, having had to talk at my own face a lot recently, I understand that that can be a little bit off-putting. So several of them have used that, but I've seen some really fun, creative stuff. So their webcam will be black, but one of my students had a drawing, a little stick figure drawing of himself. My international students seem to enjoy it, which I was a little anxious about in the beginning. I wasn't sure if they would feel more at ease communicating via writing or speaking, but they did really well. All of my students have responded to each other pretty well. I think with any kind of discussion post, the participation has dipped a bit. But I have 2/3 of the class doing it pretty religiously. And my class, they have different group members every week that they go and respond to. So it's been really useful for them. And I think it just kind of makes them feel that human connection, like you said, Paul, of adding that human element. And I will say, can't remember if you talked about it or not, or if it's maybe in your instructions, the mixed tapes. Did you mention that?
I've never tried that before. Do tell.
So the mixed tape, I sent one to Shelly. I think you actually got a copy of the mixed tape, but you can choose the videos you like the most, or the videos that you feel like are really good examples that you might want to share with students. And you'll click on the little thing. You can click add to mixed tape, and it will create essentially a curated list of these different videos that you can share with anyone. So I gave a link and it went straight to everyone, because I was thinking, besides using this in my class in the fall for my students, I might do have some experts make a short video for students, or I might force Virginia Lacey to make a video for students, and using this, and then I can share it with everybody. And
I was literally thinking, maybe now's the time I will finally record that video.
You can put an emoji in front of your face if you want.
Maybe so. Who knew I had so much hang up on this? But
well,
it's almost too easy not to. So.
Well, and that's another reason why I mentioned I think it's really helping prepare my students for this new world that they're finding themselves in more than a lot, because, we talk, I think, at our own faces more now than we ever have, and it's something you have to kind of get more comfortable with. And helping them do that, I think, is good. But the mixed tape function is pretty cool, so I highly recommend it.
Oh, I'm going to try that really quickly.
And I'll just add a little caveat as well. If anyone has a technology tool that they're kind of interested in, offhandedly mention it to Paul, because he will then become the expert in it, and he will tell you things you never would have known. So he's very good at that. So just FYI, because I was offhandedly had mentioned Flipgrid, and now he's so much better at it than me.
That is one of my roles in the office, is to be one of the resident nerds, and I relish that fact above anything else that I get to do. So it is a lot of fun. The other thing that I've really enjoyed about Flipgrid is I feel like it's one thing to get to listen to and hear from my students in a classroom setting. I think there is also something really powerful about them getting to choose the place and time. And so I think it gives them even more power in the student voice because they are the one in control of, I don't have to record it this very second, or I can, if I watch it and I don't like it, I can change it, or even the selfie that they take, you can redo that. So it really does, and this is something I never thought I would say 10 years ago when I started teaching, but I love that it takes all of the power out of my hands and gives it to the student. They are in complete control of sharing their message. And it really was fun. I had some students that recorded theirs in their backyard or in a car with friends. And so you get to see them in a more relaxed setting. And I felt like that was a lot of fun. I really did enjoy that.
I got to determine which sports teams several of my students liked by what was on the wall in their house, which was a nice change of pace. And I saw kids, I saw pets, you know, it's all very nice.
So I recorded my first Flipgrid video and sent it out to my peer mentors sitting in my study, which in my apartment, that's the right half of our guest bedroom. And the first text I got back from one of, I don't remember if it was G or Caitlin, was, "Mr. A, you've got to make that bed." Because that was the background. And they, yes.
About making your bed every day?
Yep. I hadn't watched the video in a little bit. That's going to be my defense on that, as completely weak a defense as that is. But yeah, it not only did it let me see the students in a more natural environment, it let them see me in a more natural environment. So it wasn't the, you know, the shirt and tie with the name tag on just right, Mr. A. It was, this is Paul at home. Or, you know, I think I recorded one response on a patio and had to stop because the yard crew came by. And so it was a more natural encounter that I really enjoyed. And it's free. And as long as they can hook up to data or Wi-Fi, they can do it. It's really simple. Loom is the other thing that I wanted to share a little bit about. Now, I will say there are 1,000,001 video recording platforms. I found out about Loom from a friend of mine that works at Faulkner in their College of Ed. This is what they use in their graduate programs over there. And so I thought, okay, well, that's the latest one I've heard of. Just like Heather said, cool, a new toy, I'll go figure it out and I'll try it. And I decided instead of trying different platforms every week, I was just going to stick with it. So Loom is, again, Loom Pro is what I've used. Everything I'll show you today is a Loom Pro feature, so you can record more videos. You have some editing privileges that a basic account won't have. But again, you'll sign up for a basic account, and then as long as you do it with your AUM email address, they'll convert it to a pro account for free. And they'll do that in the background. You may have to click on a quick little verification button. That's changed since I got my account in March, but they'll convert that to a pro account for you. And you'll have access to all of the new little toys that are there. So this is Loom. I'm not sure if this link worked on Friday when I sent it, because I probably sent this exact link to you guys right here, which assumed that you had my login credentials, and I don't think you do. So you might not have gotten to see all of this. So my apologies for that. But I like putting things in folders because I like a nice clean space. And so over on this side, all of these videos are made by Loom. This is any way possible that they have thought of to use Loom. So all of these are recorded by their technology support team. I've watched a couple of them, but I haven't watched all of them. But these are all created by Loom itself. And then my folder, and you can see I have it starred so that it'll automatically show up for me over here. So it's less clicking through things. So I've got mine. This is the short little preview video that I sent you guys on Friday. And this is what I'm going to show you in a minute that has the call to action So I actually was able to embed, and anytime I say embed, I know that all of a sudden gets into more techie stuff, but it literally is just an option where I gave it a link and it said, cool, we're gonna put a button on your video, and while they're watching your video, they can click on it and then it goes to your Flipgrid. And so it's a way of connecting the two. But these are all of the videos that I've done. So all of my project videos, and these are anywhere from, I think my shortest is about 1.5 minutes, all the way up to the one that I sent Heather, which was probably the longest video I have ever and will ever record, almost half an hour. That was fun but exhausting. It can be as long as you want with a Loom account. And so let me just really quick, the one that, if you didn't get a chance to watch the preview video, this is what it would look like if you send them a link that you want them to click on either through an email or through Blackboard. So they would click on the link and then see this screen. And you can even see where you can leave some comments. You can also connect this with Slack. I know that that's something else that I know the comp program has been using. So if you have a Slack account, you can actually mention someone and it will notify them through Slack that they were tagged in a message. That's one of the other cool things that I discovered today. And so you can leave a response with an emoji, or you can leave a text response.
Hey everybody, before we start with
so it's just nice and short. The one thing I tell my students, I call this my floating head that they see me talking to. I try for my videos to make sure that if I'm going to send information, they can not just hear me, but they can see me sharing it. I think I did one series of videos where it was just a voiceover, which you have the ability to do with Loom, and I felt like something was missing. And so you have the option of just your voice and your face, the screen plus your voice and face, or just the screen. So you have multiple options when you're doing Loom. And when you open Loom, so I use, the other thing I will tell you, there's 2 ways to use this. You can either download the program and use it, and it just kind of leave it on your taskbar like this, or you can use it as a Google Chrome extension. And this is what it looks like when you open it up. So you'll see your little floating head that'll pop up. It may take a second depending on your internet speed, but it'll show you screen plus cam, screen only, or camera only. And then it'll make sure that you're using the right recording stuff. It's not connecting to the camera right now because Zoom already has priority with my webcam right now. But this is simply what it would look like. You hit start recording, it counts down from 3 and then gives you a beep, and then you start talking. And it's that simple. So I really have enjoyed this. But let me show you really quick this. So you'll notice this is the call to action. It's right here where it says post to Flipgrid. So the students, as soon as they started, this call to action shows up. And if they click on this, and it opens up the Flipgrid that I want them to post in. And so this fall, I'm going to use Loom videos to do explanations of all the announcements and projects, and kind of a beginning of semester, hey, this is who I am, this is what the class is, kind of thing. And I can go ahead and do a call to action and have them do a short little introduction on Flipgrid so that even at the beginning of the semester, we can start putting names with faces. So this also for me, as someone who is horrible at remembering students' names, this is just one more way that I can start putting a name with a face. So I'm going to use that to help me out this semester. But that's a call to action that, again, you can just add to a Loom video. And again, all of these things I've added instructions for. Those how-to guides should pop up in your inbox in just a couple minutes. Also, this is the link in the presentation that'll show you how to get your account converted from a basic to a pro account. So you will be able to see how exactly that works. And again, that's what it looks like when it opens up. Again, I use the downloaded version, because I always have, my computer is kind of like command central, so I've got a double monitor set up, so I can have my webcam going on one computer and my Google Slide presentation on it, and then I can turn Loom on the other monitor so that I don't have to juggle between opening Loom, then starting the presentation, then minimizing the box that pops up that you see right here. So I always use, that's what I really enjoy about at least this setup. But you could also, you can record a Loom video on your phone. You can record it on a tablet or a laptop. Again, anything that's got the ability to at least record audio if you just wanted to do like a voiceover. So there are a couple different options of how you can share a video. So right here, this is what you could do if you wanted to record a video and share a link. So this again will take us right back to that same video I just showed you. It gives you a link and it takes you directly to it. And I get that link right over here where it's the copy link, and that's it. And as soon as you click it, you can automatically paste it into a Word doc, Google Doc, PowerPoint, whatever you want to paste it in. So you can give them a link. You can, as I'll show you in a second, you can embed it in Blackboard. Again, I like doing that because it's one less thing where they have to go in and then go right back out to view something. And then you can also download the video itself. And so there will also be some instructions on how to embed a video within Blackboard. So it'll give you the embed code instructions. And again, it's click on a couple buttons, copy and paste some stuff into Blackboard, and then hit update. And that's all it is. So this is what it would look like if I wanted to download the video and actually put it in a presentation itself. So
Hey everybody.
again, just nice and simple. It's really clean and easy to use. It still gives you the option to go full screen, and if it's a video that has captions, it still gives you the option to turn on your captions or your subtitles if that's something that your video has. I have not tried using that feature yet. I didn't have a student this past semester that needed that, and so that's one of the next things that I want to play with is to figure out how the captioning works. So you can just embed it right like that into a presentation. Or, let me go back to my Blackboard course here. So this next one, I actually put the video in an announcement. And so I gave them a couple options. Again, click on the link. It's the same link that was on the slide just a second ago. Or I've embedded it here in Blackboard. And so again, it'll tell them how long it is. You can watch it on Loom or you can just watch it here. The fun thing with embedding it like this is it still gives them, if you've got a student that wants to give the emoji response, they still have that option. I had a couple students that did that this last semester. And this one also has the call to action. So I did not update this video. It automatically updated it to add this call to action. So just click and it goes right to the right to that Flipgrid. And in case anyone is curious why a giant turtle, my wife Hannah, one of her favorite animals is a turtle, and I saw that and thought that'd be kind of fun. So that's why you've got a big turtle staring at you.
Is there a time limit on the videos, Paul?
What's that?
To know if there was a time limit on the videos, how long you can record?
Not that I have found.
You did one for 30 minutes for me, for sure.
Hey, and you know, it worked just fine. There is no difference in uploading, and the only thing that takes longer, obviously, if it's longer, it'll take just a little bit more time to download it, if you do decide to download it. I tried once downloading a video and sending it directly to a student, and that student lived in, I didn't realize that Wetumpka was big enough to have a rural and an urban part, but they said I live in the rural part of Wetumpka, and so their Wi-Fi was somewhere south of awful. So they, they had the prepaid phone, and so if they ran out of data, that was it until the next month when they re-upped it. And so if you send them a video file, that can use a lot of data, or be, they can't open it if they have bad Wi-Fi either. So I don't download and send videos directly to students just because there are connectivity issues with that. But I never had a student that had problems watching the video. And so there were multiple ways that I could do that. I like Loom again because I have yet to record a video where it said, hey, time limit, this is too long. And it does give me, if I sneeze or cough or knock a bottle of water off the table and I want to cut that out of a video, I can do that with some of these editing tools. Luckily, knock on wood, I haven't had to do that yet, but I'm sure my time is coming. And so I do have that option. If you use Slack, again, you can connect it with Slack. And I really do like that call to action. You don't just have to connect it to Flipgrid. You could have them watch a short video and connect them to a Google form, or you could connect it back to Blackboard, or you could give them any link and then you pick what the button says. You can even pick if it's a rectangular button, if it's oblong with rounded corners, or if it's all round. So it gives you a little bit of options and you pick the color, but it gives you a ton of options of what you can connect the video to. And then again, as long as your device can record video, you're good to go with Loom. And so it's pretty user friendly. Really quickly, let me show you. I'm not going to go point by point because before you see these handouts, I will tell you they are a little bit lengthy because I tried to use screenshots everywhere I could. And so I think one of them is 4 pages, the other is 3, almost 4, but that's because there are a bunch of arrows and screenshots that are in the document itself. So you should be able to see, this is what the Flipgrid document will look like when you open it up. I promise they're pictures. So it goes through the link to access either Flipgrid or Loom will be right up here at the top. So just go to flipgrid.com and it'll get you going, or you can click on this link. And this will take you through how to use these documents are in an email that should be in your email box, in your inbox. If they're not, I can send them to you here in just a second. So these will go through, this goes through at first, here's how to use Flipgrid on a computer, and it gives you all of those steps. And then here's how to use Flipgrid on a smartphone. And again, these instructions were made using an iPhone. So I can figure out how to do it on an Android. Just let me know if I need to. And so that will be your Flipgrid handout. And then your Loom handout will look just the same. It'll have some information on signing up. It'll have information on how to get it converted. And then again, how do I use it to record? What's it gonna look like? And so I've tried to give you a screenshot for just about everything I can think of, if you have any questions. And so if you get into any of these documents and you realize that I gave you a link that takes you to something that isn't what I said it should take you to, or it's broken, or whatever the case may be, let me know. And I will be happy to go in and fix that so that that link is working for you. Or if any of it is unclear, please let me know. I think that was, let me look through last, yes, okay. The Google slide presentation link should also be in your, in the email that you got. So the 2 Word documents, one for Flipgrid, one for Loom, and the link to this presentation should all be in your inbox. What questions? I know that's a ton of information to throw at you. What questions do you all have for me?
Can I ask a question?
Of course.
Okay, so, you're talking to an audience here of people who are, probably receptive to this kind of thing and eager to try new things. So tell me how I would try and persuade a more resistant faculty member to explore some of these things. What's like, for example, think about, a freshman level history class, right? How do I persuade my fellow faculty in history that these technologies are worth learning and exploring?
So the first thing I would say is if I had to pitch this to someone who is a little bit resistant to this, I would pitch Flipgrid first. Just because you start getting into some of the recording stuff with Loom, and that everyone has their preferred program. So I would pitch Flipgrid first. But one of the things that I would tell them is even if the discussions in your class are amazing and awesome, there will always be that student or group that doesn't speak up during class. And so this can give them a chance to still participate in a conversation, but in an environment where maybe they're a little bit more comfortable, or it just kind of gives the student their voice again. The other thing is, I know that we all have that class where a bunch of students get their phones out when we don't want them to. Flipgrid is a way where you can say, hey, go get into a small group, so right now I'd have to kind of rethink how to do some of this with some social distancing stuff, but that wouldn't be too hard. But this gives them a way to use their phones in an educational setting. So if they're split between, so if you have a class where part of them will be in one class and the rest will be in a computer lab, that's what one of my classes is looking like right now. I can have the two different groups all posting to something with everyone or people being in different places. But it allows the students to use their phone, which is the technology they're the most comfortable with. And then again, there are, I would say the easiest way to do this is you can provide them a link. You can just give the students a link. So there are multiple ways to share this, the link, the QR code, embedding, and all of them will take them to the same place. But I would also tell anyone curious about this that this is one of those where you can be as elaborate or as simple as you want. There are features within this that I haven't even tried out. And so you can use it just plain Jane or all the bells and whistles. So it's not to use it, you have to jump right in. Heather, what are you gonna say?
Well, I was going to add, as someone who's using both of these in my class right now, and I've had a lot of feedback from students, one thing I might say to maybe some more reluctant people is that for me, it has really improved student engagement with the content that I'm giving them. So I'm able to see them thinking, see them responding to each other considerably more than I've seen in just discussion posts, where I think students turn into writing mode and they're talking in a way that isn't really them. And sometimes they're just regurgitating what I've said. Whereas when they have to say it with their own mouth, I think they have a harder time being less authentic. And so they've really I feel like they have better grasp of it. So for me, it has increased student engagement. And in terms of Loom, I don't use Loom, I use a different one, but my students have told me, I've lost count how many times this semester, how much they prefer a video lecture to just voice over PowerPoint or just a disembodied voice. Because we have to really think about the way our students are consuming media these days, right? They're not reading it, unfortunately. We all wish that they were. Typically, they're listening to podcasts or they're watching videos or things like that. So having that I'm talking, you're seeing me, like Paul was saying, and you're listening, has really been useful when my students are trying to interact with what I'm saying. They're much more involved, even when I make very long ones. So yeah, I just saw what Lynn said about I concur. I see that all the time too in the discussion posts. But so that's what I would say as well. And if the professor is interested in student engagement and achievement, then that should be enough. And if they're not interested in that, that's a whole different problem, right? Well, and I'll just add one more thing.
Yeah. Go for it.
Paul, if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
So my students are actually using Loom as well to do their presentations.
Okay.
So if, none of us want this, but if, for goodness sake, we all have to go back online for any reason and you have a presentation, instead of reducing the rigor and, saying, oh, you just can make a PowerPoint and you don't have to actually present it. I made all my students present their midterms, and several of them did choose Loom. I gave them a couple of different options, and I think that they really enjoyed that as well.
Okay, so basically what I'm hearing is, and I mean, I'm going to be honest, I think we are going to end up online again in the fall. So this sounds like a much better way of getting students to engage in discussions than just the traditional discussion posts. Because I have to say, like this summer, I'm teaching online intentionally for the first time this summer, and I put discussion posts for all these things, and I get a lot of that kind of robotic, I agree with so and so, I concur, or they have cut and pasted information from the textbook or something like that, and so it's not really them interpreting so much as regurgitating, and so it sounds like this is a much better way of getting more, I think Heather used the word authentic responses from students, and maybe something that's a little more emotionally engaging for them, because it's like they're talking to other people, and they are, but I mean, it's less artificial. Okay.
And so thinking in a former life, I spent 10 years as a social studies teacher. And one of the things that I would try to do was to get students to put, whether it's a document or an event or something, put something in your own words. And I think that this, something like Flipgrid, gives them that ability to put content in their own words. And so that's one other thing where I think I could probably use that is hey, here's what we talked about, record a short summary or restate it in, if you were the one saying it, how would you have explained that to us? So
I think no one's going to say something.
It's again all about student voice. Len, I saw your hand go up.
There's some great YouTube videos, especially for UNIV type, but I really like kind of the idea of having them do it in Flipgrid and make some comments, and then when we come together, maybe have a little bit of discussion, but not spend the face-to-face time watching a video when they can do that whenever they want to. Yeah, so I'm going to give that a try. That's cool. Thanks for that.
Side note, this is kind of unrelated, but not too completely unrelated, but I love the Lynn and Lee, the I concur and stuff like that. But I think Neil knows me when they say I agree. I agree with what Sheila said. Oh, really? You do? What did Sheila say? So I continuously probe and I try to get around that, and they learn to stop doing that with me. So I'm going to ask you.
Yeah.
So
for you.
So let me really quick, I want to be respectful of everyone's time, and let me show you one other thing that you can set up within Flipgrid. So you can set this up just like you can delay delivery of an email. You can delay the posting of a topic within a Flipgrid. And so I've got, can everyone still see my screen? Just double checking. Awesome. So I will even send out this last link. This is a way that you could set up a summary or a kind of let's continue the discussion outside of class. So this is just if you have questions, comments, here's kind of a follow-up. So this is another way that you could use it. You can have your in-class discussion, and then you can use Flipgrid as a follow-up after that. So I will send this out as well. So if you have questions or comments or ideas, then you can use this. This one also, I have set one other thing you can do. You can set it to expire after a certain period of time. So if you just want it set up for week 1 of your class, you can have it open up in the morning, and I believe it opens up at 12:01 a.m. So you can have it open up on a certain day and close automatically to a certain day, and you don't have to do anything once you set that up. It will automatically close that. And so this is one of, it should open up here before too long sometime today, and then it'll expire here in a week. So this is another way that you could use that. So I'll send this link out as well. Were there any last questions, comments, concerns, musings on life that anyone would like to share? Or
I was just thinking that, you know, I'm always trying to figure out ways to have better discussions in class, face to face. And, you know, I've used all these activities and they do help a little bit, like having them write down comments and pass them around, all this kind of stuff before they start. But this might be another way of doing that. If they had to record a short response about whatever it is they had to read or watch that was going to be discussed in class the following day, then and because they have to actually say it in their own words, because we all know, I mean, we all tell them put it in their own words, but they still end up kind of cobbling together other people's thoughts. So this might be another way of kind of getting them to break the ice and overcome that fear they have of speaking their own opinion about something before they get to class. And then that way they'll kind of already have done it. And then they get there and maybe it'll be less scary to talk to each other. I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that would be great for someone like me also, who I may forget till the end of class, oh, I really wanted to talk about whatever it is. I could also make a topic, send it out and say, hey, I really wanted us to get to this, so share some thoughts. And then I'm gonna start class with this on whatever day. So this, for someone like me who rambles over time every now and then, that's another way that you could use this as well, as a let's prep for next time, because we ran out of time today. So both of these I've enjoyed using. So if anyone, so when you check your email, again, you should get the 2 documents and the link to the Google slide presentation. If you don't have that email, please let me know. My contact info is in my email signature, and I'll be happy to help in any way that I can. I have been working with, my dad is a physics professor, so I've been helping him figure out how to use some of these for a physics class. So we've been figuring out how to use these for some of the hard sciences. But I think a lot of the skills transfer just about everywhere. Yeah.
How is your dad using it in the hard sciences?
So he is, for Loom, he uses it to record his, when he does problems for his class, he can use the Loom app on his Surface tablet, and he can write out the problems and they can actually see him working them out by hand. And then he hasn't tried Flipgrid yet. That's the next one we're going to start with. But he's kind of my guinea pig with some of these, since I bug Neil and Michael and Heather and Amy about these enough. So he gets to be my guinea pig as well. But for Loom, he's able to record some of the lectures and do the voiceover as he's working out some problems. And then embed all of that within a document like the one you guys got.
Well,
I'll let you guys know if he tries Loom or Flipgrid in his class.
Well, and another, just I think we're all thinking of possible contingencies, even if it's not the plan. If we needed to go to online learning, or if we had a a split class for whatever reason, you could do what they call in the K-12 classroom, a flipped classroom, where you've got your lecture with Loom online that they view, and when they're with you in class is when you have something that you practice, or you do something more conversational, or do something along those lines. So everyone's still getting the same lecture, and when you're in class, you have that in-person conversation. When you're out of class, maybe you have a Flipgrid or something like that. So there are all sorts of ways, which is why I'm really glad Paul did this. PD, thank you, Paul, because I think it's more useful than ever.
Absolutely. Anything else before we call it a day? Yes, ma'am. I see. Okay, I'm still getting used to the hands thing in Zoom. So I'm still getting used to that. Give me 5 minutes and I'll figure out how to use that myself. But again, I think these two, they are tools. They are not the end all be all of online tools, but they're two that I've certainly enjoyed. So if there's any way I can help with getting you started with these, let me know.
And Shelley had a final question as well, Paul.
What you got, Shelley?
Oh, the Surface tablet.
Oh, it's his Surface, it's his laptop, his Surface laptop that he just takes the keyboard off of. But you could do this. You could do this on an iPad. I've on a MacBook, on my PC up here at school. So it works on a variety of platforms and operating systems. Anything else? Thanks for catching that, Heather.
No problem.
All right. Well, I really appreciate you guys listening to my ramblings and musings on Flipgrid and Loom. Check out the handouts and let me know if there's anything I can do to help.
Thank you, Paul. This was great.
Thank you guys. Everyone have a wonderful rest of your, what is today, Tuesday? Yeah.
Say, are we? Yeah.
Everyone have a great rest of your Tuesday.
Yeah. You too. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.